Right now, let's see the effect of sewage discharge on some important characteristics of a river. So already in the last session, I told you that the microorganisms which are present in the sewage water will be consuming a lot of oxygen for the purpose of biodegradation of that organic matter. So to oxidize that organic matter, they consume a lot of oxygen, and because of that, the sewage waters will be having very less oxygen, that is dissolved oxygen. And if this dissolved oxygen is very low, that actually can result in the death of the fish and also other aquatic organisms. Now on this we shall see one graph. Okay, so on this I have taken the concentration of that organic matter. Right, so the concentration of the organic matter, and on this I have taken the direction of flow of sewage water. Right now, when you see here, you can this is the point where sewage discharge is taking place. So in the sewage waters, right, there will be, okay, so more BOD. So that's I'll mention here. So there is, okay, greater BOD in sewage water. So in sewage water, okay, the biochemical oxygen demand will be very high, and if it is the case, then the dissolved oxygen will be very less. So you can see here, right, so this is the red line indicates it is a right dissolved oxygen. That's I'll mention here. So this is the dissolved oxygen, and you can see, right, the dissolved oxygen, okay, so it has completely come down. So when there is a sewage discharge, okay, and this blue line indicates it's a BOD. Right, you can see that BOD is very high. So in the sewage water, as I mentioned, there is a greater biochemical oxygen demand, and dissolved oxygen is very less. So at this point, when the BOD is very high and dissolved oxygen is less, it actually results in, okay, death of fish. So here fish die, and also there will be the disappearance of clean water organisms, okay, so of clean water organisms. So right, so when the water is clean means when there is no organic matter present in it, so that is a clean water. At that point you have a lot of fish and many aquatic organisms. But due to, okay, release of sewage water into it, the sewage waters usually will contain a lot of this organic matter, okay, and because of that, the number of because of that, the biochemical oxygen demand increases, the number of bacteria and many microorganisms, they flourish, like they increase in the number, okay, and they will be using a lot of oxygen. So hence you can see in this graph, okay, in the sewage waters the fish die and there is a disappearance of clean water organisms here. Now as, okay, the water flows here, and the amount of organic matter, it is completely cleared by these bacteria and other microorganisms, and in slowly, right, the dissolved oxygen will again come back to its normal state, and the BOD will get decreased. So if it is the case, then there will be reappearance of organisms. So at this point, right, there is reappearance of aquatic organisms will be seen. Okay, right. So at this point, so here instead of writing on the top here, I have written so here, which means when there is a more dissolved oxygen, obviously the reappearance of aquatic organisms will be seen. Right, so that's about the effect of sewage discharge on some important characteristics of a river. Right, here I'll tell, right, so whatever I have written here, so here this indicates, this point indicates more BOD, and this indicates, okay, less dissolved oxygen. I'm written, written as a short form here, okay, less dissolved oxygen and more BOD. So now here it comes, okay, it is less BOD and more dissolved oxygen presence. Okay, so at these conditions, this is the thing what happens, and here the reappearance of aquatic organisms will take place when the conditions come back, when the water becomes clean again. This is the situation. Okay, right. Now again, there are some other problems here. If we see the presence of large amounts of nutrients, so these large amounts of nutrients, especially like these nitrates, okay, and then phosphates, etc., in the waters can cause, so this actually can cause excessive growth of planktonic organisms, excessive growth of planktonic organisms. So these planktonic organisms are microscopic, free floating organisms, and you can include under this like okay, algae. So there are algae, we know the plants, okay, and some of them are in fact microscopic and they can grow in huge numbers. I think you might have seen, if you find a pond or a lake where usually the water is stagnant. So in rivers you may not come across with this, okay, right, something called excessive growth. Of course, what I call it algal blooms, because the river water will be flowing, right. And in rivers also, if water is stagnant at some or other points, then obviously at that locations you may see the excessive growth of these planktonic organisms. But very commonly we will come across this excessive growth of planktonic organisms, and this situation will take place only when there is okay, these nutrients in excess quantities, okay, the nitrates, phosphates, and these are all plant nutrients and will help the growth of plants. So hence, okay, they will be occupying the entire pond, they will be floating on the surface of the water, okay, and they grow in numerous numbers and they completely cover the pond in course of time. So that's what you will see, a green color on the entire surface of a pond or a lake. So then definitely you have come across with a condition called algal bloom. So this condition is what I call algal blooms. So they are algal blooms, and these algal blooms, they give a okay, distinct color. So I said like green color is very commonly seen, and these algal blooms deteriorate the water quality and increase fish mortality. right? So here, of course, in this case also, as most of them, they completely occupy on the surface of the water, right? You may not see that, see if they completely form a layer on the waters, on the surface of the waters. Okay, so you can see here I'm just mentioning, so this is all the algae growing on the surface of the water, and right, they completely cover the surface of the water, and as a result, the oxygen present in the atmosphere will find difficult, okay, to get diffused into these waters. Okay, so hence the dissolved oxygen in the water will become less. So here, so there is less dissolved oxygen. So you can see that these algae will form like a carpet on the surface of the water, and that will hinder the, okay, formation of this dissolved oxygen, and as a result the waters will be very much less with the dissolved oxygen, and that obviously results in the fish mortality and other aquatic organisms. So the death of other aquatic organisms and fishes can take place if there is less dissolved oxygen. So that is how the algal blooms are going to deteriorate the water quality and increase the fish mortality. And if we come across, there are certain kinds of algae, okay, so where they produce toxic substances, and with the release of those toxic substances also, the death of aquatic organisms can occur, right? So that's what I write here. Some, okay, bloom forming algae produce very toxic substances, right? And these are extremely toxic to humans and also to other animals, right? Right, now not only algae, so there are other certain plants like this Acornia crassipis, right? I think we have come across with this Acornia crassipis in the first chapter, right? Where we have, I mean, I have told you that this is a terror of Bengal, and this is world's most, okay, problematic weed. We have already seen, okay, in the first chapter about this Acornia crassipis, okay, and this is also commonly called the terror of Bengal, and this right plant grows everywhere in the water bodies, wherever you find, okay, in the ponds, lakes, right, wherever there is a stagnant water, it likes to grow like anything. Even in the reservoirs it likes to grow, and this actually is not native of India. It was brought into India some long back because of its beautiful flowers and the shape of the leaves. Okay, so already some of these points we have seen in the first chapter. Okay, so because of those features, it was introduced into India, and now it's growing everywhere and creating a lot of problem. And we also have seen, okay, when we were talking about this Acornia crassipis in the first chapter, so it drains away the dissolved oxygen, and it can result in the death of the aquatic organisms present in that water body, right? So I'll mention that here. So it grows excessively and blocks waterways, right? So this Acornia will be growing very quickly. We know it reproduces by offsets, which is a mode of asexual reproduction, and with a short period of time, it number increases. Now we find very difficult, okay, in uh, okay, removing them, as its number goes on increasing very fastly, right? And plants like this, they grow abundantly in eutrophic water bodies. Okay, so these plants grow abundantly in eutrophic water bodies. So here eutrophication, which means enrichment of water bodies by inorganic plant nutrients. So here we have a word eutrophication, which means, okay, enrichment of water bodies, okay, by inorganic plant nutrients, by inorganic, okay, right, plant nutrients. Enrichment of water bodies by inorganic plant nutrients is what we call eutrophication. So these plants, okay, so Aconiochrocepis will be growing in a huge number in eutrophicated water bodies. Now the sewage from homes and hospitals, so whatever that sewage that comes from homes and hospitals, it will contain a lot many pathogenic microorganisms. So this sewage that comes from the homes and hospitals may contain many pathogenic microorganisms. So here pathogenic, which means disease causing. So there will be so many microorganisms that may cause diseases, and these may be present in the sewages that come from homes and also from hospitals. And if we discharge this sewage into nearby water bodies, and those water bodies, if they are used for drinking purpose or for, okay, or for some other purposes, then definitely it can result in the spread of diseases. Okay, and that's what the sewage discharge into water bodies, I mean the sewage discharge, okay, from the homes and hospitals that contain pathogenic microorganisms. So sewage discharge from, I'll write here, homes and hospitals that contain pathogenic microorganisms. So if that is released into the water bodies, it can, okay, so if it is the case, it can result in outbreak of diseases. So suddenly there will be a lot of people infected with that particular disease, so that it can happen. Okay, if we are going to release this sewage, okay, sewage waters from the homes and hospitals that may contain these pathogenic microorganisms, then definitely it can result in the outbreak of these diseases. Like, the diseases in this case, like dysentery, okay, and then even cholera, okay, and typhoid, okay, and jaundice, so etc., are some diseases that can quickly spread among the people if we right release these sewage waters from those hospitals, okay, and from homes that contain the pathogenic microorganisms. Now the waste waters from industries like paper manufacturing, right? So paper manufacturing industries and from petroleum industries and from metal extraction and processing industries, metal extraction and processing industries, right, and also from chemical manufacturing industries. So from these different industries, right, a lot of effluents will be produced, and these effluents will contain toxic substances, right? So here the effluents from these industries will contain many toxic substances, right? And among them, among these toxic substances, we need to mostly see about the heavy metals. So here the those toxic substances, especially they are heavy metals. So these heavy metals will be present, okay, from the effluents that come from, okay, this paper manufacturing, petroleum, okay, even metal extraction and processing industries and chemical manufacturing industries. So from all these industries, the effluents will contain heavy metals. So what actually are heavy metals? Heavy metals are the one, okay, that have density greater than, okay, 5 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, so if they have a density greater than 5 gram per centimeter cube, okay, right, I mean cubic centimeter, so 5 grams per cubic centimeter, then they are said to be heavy metals, right? So that's heavy metals are the one who have density greater than, okay, 5 gram per cubic centimeter. Now examples of these heavy metals will include like mercury. So this causes a lot of severe health problems in case of humans. Then cadmium, okay, and right, copper and lead, etc. So these are some heavy metals, okay, which may be present in the effluents coming from these industries, okay, and they also contain, so not only the toxic substances they contain, they may also contain a wide variety of organic compounds. So the effluents from these industries will contain the toxic substances which I have mentioned, and also variety of organic compounds also present in these effluents, right? Right. Now some toxic substances present in the industrial effluents can undergo biomagnification. So they can undergo biomagnification. Okay, so of course the biomagnification, which where it's the biological magnification. Okay, so one and the same, biological magnification or biomagnification. Right, so let's see what actually is this biomagnification. So increase in the concentration of the pollutant or toxicant at successive tropic levels in an aquatic food chain is what we call the biological magnification or biomagnification. So that's increase in the concentration of that, okay, pollutant or toxicant at successive tropic levels. So here one example of this pollutant example, okay, pollutant like DDT can undergo this biomagnification, so which stands for dichlorodiphenyl, right, trichloroethane. Okay, so this DDT can undergo biomagnification. Actually this DDT has been banned in almost everywhere in the world. Okay, but yet in some countries its manufacturing is still going on, and when they are released into the atmosphere they can cause problems like this, okay, biomagnification. And one more and also mercury. So this one also undergoes biomagnifications, right? Now let us see an example of this biomagnification. So biomagnification of DDT in aquatic food chain. Okay, right. So here let's say that in water the concentration of DDT is around 0.003, okay, ppb, so parts per billion. Now, right, so this water will be used by, or it gets, I mean, in this water you may see the presence of zooplankton. Now this DDT may get deposited on this zooplankton or in their bodies, right? So by means of diffusion, and so it may get, okay, into this zooplankton, and what happens is the concentration in case of zooplankton, it may go to 0.04, okay, ppm. So that is, okay, parts per million. And then, right, this zooplankton will be eaten by the fish. See here, once the DDT enters into the living organism, it will not undergo any right metabolism. So hence, whatever that concentration that enters into the body of an organism, it will remain, okay, unaltered. It will be not eliminated from the body at all. Means no metabolism will be taking place for this DDT or mercury or whenever whatever that those okay, toxic substances. So zooplankton will contain the DDT 0.04 ppm. Then coming to this zooplankton will be eaten by, okay, small fish. So in the case of small fish, this concentration comes to 0.5 ppm. The concentration comes to 0.5 ppm. Then coming to large fish, so small fish will be eaten by large fish. In them the concentration will increase to 2 ppm, and these large fish will be eaten by birds. So there are fish eating birds. So you can see in this case of fish eating birds, the DDT concentration may go up to 25 ppm. So you can see that at every tropic level, this is a tropic level, okay, so this is one tropic level, this is a second tropic level, okay, third tropic level, and fourth tropic level, okay. Of course these tropic levels are the concepts which we should study in ecosystems. Fine, we'll see about them later. So zooplankton has 0.04 ppm, and then small fish will be having, okay, DDT concentration to 0.5 ppm, and you can see that at every tropic level the concentration of DDT increased, and this is what we call it, okay, biomagnification. Now what happens that if the DDT is getting concentrated, so say suppose I will take these fish eating birds, okay, if this DDT concentration increases in these birds, it can actually disturb the calcium metabolism, okay. So here, right, the high concentration of DDT, high concentration of DDT in birds, it disturbs calcium metabolism, okay. It will not undergo, right, any metabolism, but it will disturb, okay, other metabolic pathways. So it will disturb this calcium metabolic pathway. So if this calcium metabolic pathway is disturbed, then it results in production of eggs with the thin shells. So the shell has a certain thickness. That thickness will not be same. So the shell will be very thin. If the if the shell is thin, then what happens is, right, the eggs will not be able to withstand, and at one or other time they may break off, and it results in the death of the birds, and in course of time, right, obviously it results in decrease in the population of that birds, okay, right. So that's thin shells results in premature breaking. So it results in premature breaking, and the young ones will die, okay, premature breaking, which results, sorry, which results, okay, in the death of the organisms, the death of these birds, the young ones. In the, I think, okay, fine. So I have written right up to here, let it be. So which results in the death of the young ones, that's what